If you could leave our audience with one piece of advice around chasing their dreams, what would that be?
I would leave them with keep pushing, keep trying, and no matter how many times you fail, you gotta keep going and believe in yourself.
Welcome to the Overwhelmed and Over It podcast. I am your host, Gabs, and I am here to bring you this podcast dedicated specifically to helping founders like you build unforgettable businesses without burning yourself out. Each week, you'll hear me take conversations beyond surface level with experienced founders and entrepreneurs so that they can share their stories, strategies, and lessons learned along the way so that you have a less stressful and more successful business. Let's dive into this week's entrepreneur.
I am so excited to bring you today's founder. I already gave you guys a preview that speaking with this founder was going to bring me to tears, and it's because today's a personal one. So I'll give you just a brief introduction, and then I will let him formally introduce himself. They make me the proudest mom every single day. Today, I'm so excited to share with you our founder, Gage, my 13-year-old who has beat me in more pitch competitions and won more startup funding than I have. And while sometimes that stings a little, it also makes me incredibly proud. Welcome to the Overwhelmed and Over It podcast, Gage. I'm so happy to have you here with me. Will you please introduce yourself to the audience?
My name is Gage. I'm 13 years old. I have a family of 5, my 2 sisters, my mom and my dad, and I like to play video games.
All right, Gage. I think the most burning question people want to hear about is what has your founder journey looked like as a very young entrepreneur?
Well, it started when I was 11. My mom introduced me into the entrepreneurship world at Kids CEO Camp. I pitched this kids finance app. It was about kids investing their money through gamification.
Let's dive into this pitch competition because one, I love reliving this moment. I saw you come out of your shell, but also I want other people to understand that no matter how scary, standing in front of a room or a stage or on a podcast talking about your business, tell them how they actually can just get into it and be really confident. Because I will say the minute you hit that stage, there was a whole new version of you that I had never seen before. You were not lazy. You had so much confidence and you completely came out of your shell. And I personally need all those tricks because when I hit the stage, sometimes I get super, super nervous. So let's talk about this pitch competition at Future CEO Camp. Give us a rundown kind of how'd you prep for it? What was it like being on that stage with your other co-founders? And what was the outcome?
How I prepped is I gave all my teammates certain areas where they were good at to start, and then we worked together in the middle once we were finished with our own areas. I think you just have to be yourself and show people the side of you that no one else knows.
So when you say you prepped them on the stage, is that like you guys divided up who was going to go over certain slides and talk about certain parts of the business?
Yes, ma'am.
How was that? You were the CEO, you were leading this group, and how was it being able to delegate and hand off certain parts? Was that scary?
No, actually, I really liked it because it gave me a sense of purpose, and I was able to help my team understand what they were doing.
There was something in your pitch competition that stands out to me so clearly, and it was the way that you got the audience involved. Can you tell us more about that?
So I went up there and I asked how many adults were in debt, and they raised their hands.
And why do you think that helped? Do you think it just set the stage of like, we're all in this together? This is a problem worth solving?
Yeah, I think it did because it could show that if they're in debt and they don't have help, their kids don't have help, then they'll be in debt too, and it'll just be a cycle for the rest of the eternity.
And to clarify, most of the audience were parents.
Yes.
So it was really relatable that you were asking about debt and money and finances to the parents of the kids that were there because we knew you were going to be talking about money.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the outcome because I will relive this moment every day if I could for as long as I live. How did Kids Finance do at the Future CEO Camp
Well,
pitch
we
competition?
got first place.
What was the most overwhelming part of being a founder?
It was definitely helping my team see my vision because most of them, they didn't understand what I was trying to do.
I think so many founders can relate to that. I will say most of the founders that I work with and would consider themselves visionaries. They have these new kind of out of the box ideas, things that have never been done before. And I think a lot of people can relate. That is the hardest part of being a quote unquote visionary founder is how do you bring people along with you on the journey? How do you get them to understand exactly where you're headed and what you can see so clearly, but no one else seems to understand? So, how did that end up working out? I think you had 3 of you on the team. So, how did it work out getting them to your vision?
I had to explain it in terms that they could understand in a way that they could better our business.
I love that so much. What was the biggest failure you had trying to get this business and this pitch off the ground, which in my eyes means the biggest lesson you've learned?
To be honest, I'm just gonna be honest here. It's probably my laziness. I'm too lazy to start it. That's
Okay.
what I'm thinking.
That's good. Like, we have to be self-aware enough of our own personality traits to know what works and what doesn't as a founder.
But when I started having a team to help me, I started being non-lazy.
Do you think it's that being aware of your own kind of personality traits and knowing your struggles, you've been able to get around that by bringing in people who can help you in those areas that you're weak?
Yes, I do believe that because it's like for you and Dad. Cause Dad, he's very outgoing, and at first you were extrovert, but when you started being an entrepreneur, and I think it's also because of Dad, the way you talk now during your podcast, you're so good at talking, and I want to be better at talking too.
Practice, 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 failure, failure, failure. And that comes with time. I want you to tell us, so you're not currently running a business.
No, man.
I think that's also another lesson was maybe you bit off a little bit more than you could chew, thinking the money you were taking from your pitch competition, you were going to go officially start running this gamification. And we did explore it. You went down those avenues. You did a lot of research. You did a lot of exploration, but realized it may not be right fit for right now.
Yeah, and I don't think we had enough funds to make a whole.
Yeah, startup funds.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are the thing that most of us founders struggle with. So I'd love for you to tell us what's next for you. Is there anything else left in your founder journey?
I do believe so. I feel like right now maybe I'm not because of school and stuff, but I feel like I will be able to get back into founders.
What kind of things do you think you would be doing?
I don't know. I feel like I still want to stay somewhat in the tech area, but something that can help people. That's really what I want to do.
Yeah. Solving people's problems, right? That's like the very beginning of being a founder is figuring out which problem you're going to be able to solve. I'm going to leave you with one last question, and that is, if you could leave our audience with one piece of advice around chasing their dreams, what would that be?
I would leave them with keep pushing, keep trying, and no matter how many times you fail, you gotta keep going and believe in yourself.
All right, Gage. Thanks for being here with me today. I loved it so much.
Love you, Mom.
I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day, whatever day it is that you are listening to this podcast. And I will see you next week. With much love, your host, Gabs.